If you are here to celebrate the Austin launch of Patrick Ryan Frank's latest book of poems, The Opposite of People, you are in the right place. Tonight, the author is going to read a few poems from the book, and if we're lucky, he'll crack a few jokes, tell a few tales, and give us some wonderful insight about the book. But before we introduce the man of the hour, let's give a big round of applause for Malvern Books for hosting tonight. Another way to thank them, beyond your thunderous applause, is to buy Patrick Ryan Frank's book tonight, which is going to be over at that table, and I think he's going to even be signing them. That's true, he will be signing them. It makes a great gift if you've already bought it. Stocking stuffers, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me Patrick Ryan Frank's book to read. Because why rot a kid's teeth when you can enrich their minds? This Patrick Ryan Frank guy, I'm going to give you a few fun facts about him. So here's a couple things you should know. He's a graduate of Northwestern University, Boston University, and the Michener Center at UT, and he lives in Austin right now. Other fun fact, he's received a bunch of fellowships, but most recently he was a Fulbright Fellow in Iceland. So if you are thinking about traveling to Iceland, want to know more about Iceland, he's your guy to talk to. He will give you many fun places to go to. Second fun fact, or maybe that's my third fun fact right now, I'm not sure. But How the Losers Love What's Lost, his first book, came out in 2010 and won the intro prize from 4-Way Books. And remember, that is for sale too, and it's right over there, and you should check it out. It's awesome. And third fun fact, and this one's probably the most important, Patrick Ryan Frank is the Tinkerbell of poets, because if you don't clap loud enough, he won't come on and read. So without further ado, let's show him a warm welcome. Patrick Ryan Frank, everybody.
Well, thank you. That was one of the stranger introductions I've ever had. And that is actually why I asked him to do that. Because I knew that if nothing else, he'd be able to get a bunch of grown-ass people to do the wave. Which is pretty impressive. You know what? I think I'm actually going to go without the microphone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Fairly easily? I'll just have it sort of off to the side for ambiance. Maybe a slight echo. So, I'm going to be reading only from this book, from The Opposite of People. And if you're horrified by the number of little flags at the top, don't worry, they're really short, so it's not going to take too long. So this book is all about movies and television and my preoccupation with Netflix. Because mostly I wanted to write a book and pretend to do research by watching movies. So, the first poem is called There'll Be an Enormous Party. Tumbling down that wide Niagara of laughter, the blonde girls and the gray-haired men beside them swirl away through picture after picture. If there's champagne, there'll be a waiter's smirk. If there's an ice sculpture, it'll be a swan weeping for its flaws. If there's a pool, a horrible, beautiful woman will get pushed, and the garden will quiet just to hear her thrash within the weird slick of her ruined silk. And then the jokes, and it all begins again. Oh vanity, why won't you leave me home? Why must you pull me by the elbow down that crowded hallway, then leave me by the wall, awkward as an interrupted joke, adrift in the back of half the photographs, a face turned too far left, mouth spread too wide to grin, gaping as if to gulp back breath. So this poem takes its title from a Talking Heads song. It's called This Must Be the Place. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Talking Heads song. I tried so hard and I failed. This must be the place. Autumn, a rental, a radio and a map. Another man excuses himself from the highway to look for the actual world. A tourist trap, a town that hasn't had its trigger pulled. Those pretty girls about to fly away. It eats at you. The fear that you've been fooled into believing what you have is real, quietly asking the movies how to feel. You understand why your grandparents spent their decades with that television set, polished wood and full of weather, snowstorm, snowstorm, static through the night. Watch it long enough, it must be life. Somewhere, a man casually loves his wife. A woman sitting on her sofa says, "God damn," or "Hallelujah," or "Not today." And somewhere near, the deer and foxes do whatever deer and foxes do, unseen, unknown. Someone who looks like you drives into town. Nothing special, some stores and a bar or two, kids in the park beside the Eagles Hall, old women enjoying the last of this weather, warm as the wind picks up and the red leaves start to fall. Makeover. I'm only this, and this is not enough. Because each body is an accident. Because my body is the opposite of mystery, and yet I cannot solve myself. I will not know until I'm shown. Because I want to step into a life as a wealthy woman steps into a store. Because the fountain's full of coins already, and the escalator doesn't pause its glide upward into grace. I will be more than what I seem. My heels on the marble floor will sound like every door in hell thrown wide. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that's just the first of many poems in which I talk about myself wearing high heels, which shows you just how much RuPaul's Drag Race I was watching when I wrote this book. All right, so there's a series of poems in this book about a really depressed comedian, because I found that funny people are actually the saddest people I know. So this one's called "The Comedian Falls Off the Wagon." A guy walks into a bar and lifts a drink. The light gets soft, the music picks right up, and all my stupid jokes are suddenly funny. The punchlines falling into place like bright new quarters in the slot of a payphone that no one's thought to use in years. I make new friends and tell them every single thing. The stars I've met, sure bet investments, that girl who washed her hair in my tears all those years ago. And then I whirl out into the street, alone in the smooth black early hours of morning. It isn't lonely. Or if it's lonely, it's lovely, like a movie. I feel as real and ready as a 9-volt battery, so full of thrill and set to go. But then the light goes dull, and the empty street is just an empty street and quiet again. But still then, something still might happen. Someplace open still, someone and just one more, that's it, another. The trouble with blondes is that they're always in trouble. Girls running up the stairs in lovely shoes. Girls dancing slowly through those sunlit rooms while someone outside stares. Unfair or not, the world wraps all of its idiot pity around the necks of all the pretty girls and pulls them forward into that briefly gorgeous light. A young girl builds a castle on the beach. It's perfect, but the tide is coming in so quickly that you can't feel all that bad, breaking it apart beneath your heel. There are a lot of poems about commercials in here because I feel like that's all I ever really pay attention to. This one's called Car Commercial. Blue air, black road, red dirt, white car. White coupe on its straight shot through a cloudless desert, fast and bright and beautifully framed, metonymy of a lovely life. Spotless, stopless, smooth, unlyricked music, and the quickest route out of monotony toward the curves of Montana. Its mountains grand as majesty, and breasts unconquered. Or toward Manhattan, sleek, still buildings, serious, direct, reflected in the windows, black, so anybody could be driving. Even you, probably you, saying goodbye, dull bungalow, goodbye. Hello, AC, combustion rogue, the road implausibly empty, flat, implausible sky. So I watched a documentary a few months ago, well after I'd written this poem, but made me wish that I had rewritten this poem. And it was an amazing documentary, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was about a stunt woman who was also a little person, and her job was basically doing stunts for children. So basically any child you've ever seen go flying through a plate glass window. I don't know how often that happens. But anytime you've ever seen a child do something that seems dangerous, it was probably actually this small, amazing woman. This has nothing to do with that, that was just an aside. This is called Stuntman. Sheathed in flames and screaming down the street, I realized how much I've come to hate the world. I'm always almost leaving it. A harness holds me back. The practiced tackle, crash, the sudden gravel, sudden glass, and life is as dull as a prop man's plastic knife. The sky's just a space I've fallen through. The sea is just another speedboat chase waiting for the blast. Some people do their dangerous acts to prove that they're alive, but I'm not like that. It's not my fault the world keeps dreaming up new ways that I won't die. This is called Ex Ingenue. One weekend spent with a thin, blonde spinster aunt, with her tulip-covered sofa, chocolates, her cough as she talked through war films with the sound turned off, her half-sung sayings, if you got what you want, no one would know you anymore. Her laughter was low and long, a smolder when I left her to another summer smoking on the lawn in a faded orange bathing suit and tan lines, watching for the mailman at the gate. Hers was the patient glory of the landmine, waiting for a foot's right weight. This is where I start working blue. This is called Commercial for a Phone Sex Hotline. We're in a doctor's office, and I'm a nurse. Or you're a cop, or we both study math. This is the township of satisfaction, and you are a registered voter. What would you like me to say? That I'm wearing nothing but a collar and will screw the way a late-night preacher works his pews? There'll be music, there'll be wrath. Or shame is the clean white napkin a hungry man will spread across his lap. Or that nothing has to be its boring self anymore. So you be the bashful Latvian masseuse, and I'll be you, lying on the floor in the dark with all those possibilities and a touch-tone phone, knowing what to do and knowing the truth, that once you pull yourself past the stubborn body, the heart is so easy to please. Do you all know those weird commercials for medication that like feature like an animated cloud that's like crying for no reason? I'm kind of obsessed with those commercials. So this is called antidepressant commercial. Clear sky, except a cloud much like a face of a pretty girl who pretended to be sad so long that now she's sad. Sad cloud. The sun runs its fingers through everybody's curls, but pulls back when it gets to yours. Your rain is falling nowhere else. No one likes wet hair or umbrellas. No one likes you. A meteorologist once lay flat beneath you, open-mouthed, and that was sweet, but brief. And that was all, and that was that. So what? Now what? The winds died down, and you go nowhere, just stay awkwardly in your dark part of the garden. Men with cameras talk about you, saying it isn't all that hard. Just count to 5, then turn, pretend to smile. The comedian considers. Nothing is funnier than unhappiness, wrote Samuel Beckett, that bucket of ugly laughter. And Kierkegaard once said that a person has to suffer to know what's comic. Is that what I'm after? A setup? Bad life lived badly, so that when the punchline comes, it comes as a punch to the gut? Can I work these cruelties and the accidents into the perfect joke? And if so, so what? I tell myself the funniest man in the world lives in some village surrounded by bamboo and wasps and hungry soldiers. When he's dead, no one outside his valley will have heard his laugh or the only English words he knew. I'm sorry, and that's what your mama said. You can tell that I usually start with the last line first and go from there. Apparently this is another poem in which I wear high heels. Okay. This is called Modern Horror. Horror. I have to be very clear about that. Horror. Modern horror. Why a monster? Why a man with a knife? When the mailbox coughs up panic and the phone is growling like a rabid dog. The bills, bad news, and test results. The dread red eye of the IRS. I don't want to know what's next. What's in my house already. I've run upstairs to the inescapable attic of my life, wearing my highest heels. I've turned my back on the hungry dark of the opening closet door, to the vague black shapes on the floor. Here's a window, and it's still a lovely night, with wind in the trees and shadows like people running, light like fires breaking out in houses down the street. Going off script real quick. All right. This is The Comedian at a Funeral. I've seen this movie. I know how I should act. Politely quiet, distracted by my grief. But grief's an act I haven't mastered yet. In fact, I'm almost happy. Everything is hilarious and everything is wrong. An awkward hand on the back, the mother's hat, the sister's low-cut dress. Her body bends toward the body in its odd white casket, and I wonder, what if somehow this is the only hour of my life that I will not be sad? Living is just a joke that no one gets, and I can't get it right. Some bad-breathed aunt leans over, asks me how I'm holding up, but there's lipstick on her teeth. When I open my mouth, the wrong sound falls right out. Do you all remember who Miss Cleo was? Television psychic from the late 90s and early 2000s. So I'm kind of fascinated by Miss Cleo. She made almost no money, but the companies that she worked for made over $1 billion. Like, if I remember correctly, it's like $1.4 billion for the Psychic Friends Network. She made like $80,000 during her entire tenure. And then after they got sued in several states and went out of business, she disappeared for a long time. But she's lately resurfaced, and she is trying to become a new host on the Oxygen Network. So stay tuned, you might be able to see some Miss Cleo on Oxygen. And in case you're wondering, she's not actually Jamaican. Her real name is Urae Del Harris, and she's from Seattle. So this is called Miss Cleo Can Help. And imagine I'm doing this in a really bad Jamaican accent. I'm not going to try. That'd be awful. Probably be better than hers, but still. Imagine I am. So Miss Cleo can help. Bad times. A birthmarked man. A broke-down car. I see it all. The cards laid out. The stars laid out in lines. I'll tell you what they mean while the TV frame gets smaller and my face, resigned like someone's mother, fills the screen. As if you, with every right word that I say, were coming closer. What do you want to hear? The money's coming. The baby's daddy's gone. You'll be all right if you just get over that fear that everything you want is obvious to everyone else. Honey, yes, I know. You wonder if you'll find true love. Right here, you'll see it in my turban's folds, my cards. I have such love, whatever the question, what place or long gone lover. It's so ridiculous, it must be real. Ask about tomorrow, the lotto. Ask me, where's my sister now? And I'll ask you, where am I? Sweetheart, close your eyes and find me. Florida prison cell, or selling handbags outside Syracuse, or in a jungle, casting off my clothes and spinning, crazy as a carousel, while all your sweetheart's ghosts begin to moan and the night beats with the sound of the devil's heart. Or in a plain brown room, in a purple gown, leaning over a desk, my hand held hard above the phone like a thunderhead in drought, dark and ready to open. So call me now. I'll tell you how it is, how it all comes out. All right, and then I think the last one, so we can all get back to the tiny donuts. This is called The Comedian Takes the Stage. Ever notice how a frightened man will sway like an inflatable snowman tied to some store's roof? No, neither have I. It's surprisingly cold up here. See how my hands are shaking? Someone told me to imagine you all naked, which is harder than you'd think. I told you that to break the ice, but it's true. Your bodies are strange. Maybe it's time for a joke. 3 men were walking down the street, or 2. Was it 2 men walking? 2 men were walking down the, no. There was just 1 man talking to nobody. It's all gone wrong, so let's just say the ice is broken. As you sit there so quietly, naked in my mind, as naked as you are in the bath or in the dark of your homes and your hotels, please be kind enough to remember that I am trying hard to press on, to push my way through this. Oh wait, was I supposed to be the naked one? Are you all imagining me undressed? Do that, I guess, while I figure out what comes next. I wish I brought some props, a guitar, something hysterical to show you, but I don't sing, and I'm up here empty-handed. No magic tricks or video clips, no slides, no pictures of me as a kid or drunk. I'm sorry for the lack of funny pictures. So just imagine one. A man in the water, naked maybe, under the water, and it's winter. There's ice, and he's under the ice. He's hitting the ice with his fists, hoping someone will hear and come to help. Imagine there's only a sound like wind on plastic and a far-off muffled guitar. Imagine his lips are blue and his mouth is open and he has this look in his eyes as he looks right at you, like he sees you too. Imagine that.